Have you ever witnessed a moment so pure it changed someone's life forever? That's exactly what happened when little Emma called her dad's boss Mom during a company picnic. What followed was an explanation that left not just the CEO in tears, but everyone who heard the story. If this already touches your heart, make sure to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more heartwarming stories that remind us of the beauty in human connections. Mark Wilson hadn't planned on being a single father. At 32, he had imagined a different life, one where he and his wife Sarah would raise their daughter Emma together in their modest suburban home. But life rarely follows our carefully laid plans. When Emma was just 4, Sarah's battle with cancer ended, leaving Mark to navigate the complicated world of parenthood alone. The first year was the hardest. Mark would wake up reaching for Sarah, only to find her side of the bed empty. He'd make 2 cups of coffee out of habit before pouring one down the drain. Emma would ask when Mommy was coming home, and each time, Mark would have to explain that Mommy was in heaven now, watching over them. Each explanation broke his heart a little more. Mark worked as a senior software developer at Horizon Technologies, a mid-sized tech company that had been understanding about his situation. His boss, Catherine Chen, the company's CEO, had given him flexible hours and the option to work from home when Emma needed him. Catherine was known for being tough but fair, a brilliant businesswoman who had built Horizon from the ground up. At 45, she commanded respect in an industry still dominated by men, and her employees both admired and feared her sharp intelligence and unwavering standards. What most people at Horizon didn't know was that Catherine had her own private struggles. She had dedicated her life to her career, postponing personal relationships and the family she had once dreamed of having. Now, approaching middle age, she sometimes wondered about the roads not taken, the children she never had. As Emma turned 6, Mark found himself struggling to balance his work responsibilities with his daughter's needs. Emma was starting 1st grade, and the school hours didn't align with his work schedule. After-school programs were expensive, and babysitters were unreliable. Mark was exhausted, trying to be both mother and father to his little girl while maintaining his performance at work. Catherine noticed the dark circles under Mark's eyes during meetings, the way he would check his phone anxiously when school was ending, how he would sometimes fall asleep at his desk during lunch breaks. One evening, as Mark was rushing to finish a project before picking up Emma from a neighbor who had agreed to watch her, Catherine stopped by his desk.
"Mark, do you have a minute?" she asked, her voice softer than usual. Mark looked up, anxiety evident in his eyes. "I'm just trying to finish this before I pick up Emma. Mrs. Gonzalez can only watch her until 6, and it's already 5:30. Catherine nodded. "That's actually what I wanted to talk about. I've been watching you run yourself ragged these past months. I'd like to propose a solution." Mark listened as Catherine outlined a new position for him, one that would allow him to work primarily from home, with flexible hours built around Emma's school schedule. The salary would remain the same, and he would still be responsible for his current projects, just with more autonomy over when and where he completed them. "Why would you do this for me?" Mark asked, suspicious of such generosity in the corporate world. Catherine's expression softened. "Because you're one of our best developers, and I'd rather adjust your working conditions than lose you. And because—" she hesitated. "I understand what it's like to feel torn between responsibilities." From that day forward, Mark's life became more manageable. He could be there when Emma got home from school, help her with homework, and still complete his work after she went to bed. Catherine checked in regularly, not just about work projects, but also asking how Emma was doing. Sometimes, when Mark had to come to the office for meetings, Catherine would ask to see pictures of Emma's latest art projects or hear about her adventures at school. As months passed, Catherine became more than just Mark's boss. She became a friend, someone he could talk to about the challenges of raising Emma alone. Catherine found herself looking forward to these conversations, to hearing about Emma's small triumphs and silly jokes. Through Mark's stories, she began to feel connected to this little girl she had never met. When Horizon Technologies planned their annual summer picnic, Mark hesitated to attend. These events were always family-oriented, and he worried about Emma feeling out of place among complete families. But Catherine insisted. "Bring Emma," she said. "It'll be good for both of you to get out and socialize. Plus, I've heard so much about her, I feel like I know her already. I'd love to finally meet her." The day of the picnic was perfect, sunny but not too hot, with a gentle breeze rustling through the park trees. Emma was excited, bouncing around in her favorite yellow sundress, her dark curls, so like her mother's, tied back with a ribbon. Mark felt a pang, wishing Sarah could see how beautiful their daughter had become. When they arrived at the park, Mark was surprised by how nervous he felt introducing Emma to his colleagues. He had kept his work and home lives separate for so long that bringing them together felt strange. Catherine spotted them as soon as they arrived and made her way over, smiling warmly. "You must be Emma," she said, kneeling down to be at eye level with the little girl. "Your dad has told me so much about you. I'm Catherine." Emma studied Catherine with the frank curiosity only children possess. "You're prettier than Daddy said," she declared, causing Mark to blush and Catherine to laugh. Throughout the afternoon, Catherine kept finding reasons to spend time with them. She helped Emma at the face painting station, cheered for her during the sack race, and sat with them during lunch. Mark noticed how natural Catherine was with Emma, how she listened intently to his daughter's rambling stories and answered her endless questions with patience. Emma, for her part, seemed drawn to Catherine. She followed her around, held her hand, and beamed whenever Catherine complimented her. Mark hadn't seen his daughter this animated with an adult woman since Sarah. It both warmed his heart and scared him a little. He didn't want Emma getting attached to someone who was, after all, just his boss. As the picnic was winding down, several employees gathered for a group photo. Catherine stood next to Mark and Emma, her hand resting lightly on Emma's shoulder. Just as the photographer was about to take the picture, Emma looked up at Catherine and said clearly, "Mom, can you pick me up so I can see better?" The silence that followed was deafening. Mark froze, mortified. Catherine's eyes widened in shock. Several colleagues exchanged uncomfortable glances. Emma, sensing something was wrong but not understanding what, looked confused and on the verge of tears. Catherine recovered first. With remarkable composure, she smiled gently at Emma and said, "Of course, sweetheart," before lifting her up. The photographer took the picture, and the moment passed, but Mark could feel curious eyes on them for the rest of the event. On the drive home, Emma fell asleep in her car seat, exhausted from the day's activities. Mark's mind raced. How could he explain to Catherine? Would this make things awkward at work? Would she think he had encouraged Emma to see her that way? The next morning, Mark received an email from Catherine asking him to come to her office. His stomach knotted with anxiety as he made the drive, rehearsing explanations and apologies. When he arrived, Catherine was standing by the window, looking out at the city below. She turned when he entered, and he was surprised to see her eyes were red-rimmed. "Catherine, about yesterday," Mark began. "I'm so sorry. Emma's been watching this cartoon where there's a woman boss character, and I think she got confused. I'll talk to her and make sure she understands." Catherine held up a hand to stop him. "That's not why I asked you here, Mark." She gestured for him to sit down. "I wanted to tell you something about myself that very few people at this company know." She took a deep breath. 15 years ago, before I founded Horizon, I was married. My husband and I tried for years to have a child. After multiple miscarriages and failed fertility treatments, I finally got pregnant. We were ecstatic. Her voice wavered slightly. At 7 months, I lost the baby, a little girl. My marriage didn't survive the grief. I threw myself into building this company instead. Mark sat in stunned silence as Catherine continued. When Emma called me Mom yesterday, it was the first time I'd ever been called that. Tears welled in her eyes. I know it was a mistake, that she was confused or just comfortable with me, but in that moment, I felt something I thought I'd never experience. Mark felt his own eyes growing wet. "Catherine, I had no idea." She smiled sadly. "How could you? It's not something I talk about. But I wanted you to know why I didn't correct Emma yesterday, why I couldn't. And I wanted to ask," she hesitated, if you would be comfortable with me spending more time with Emma. Not as a replacement for her mother, no one could ever replace Sarah, but as a friend, a mentor perhaps. Mark thought about how Emma had blossomed in Catherine's presence, how she had laughed and played with an abandon he hadn't seen in too long. He thought about how Catherine had already helped them so much, not just with the flexible work arrangement, but with her genuine interest in Emma's well-being. I think Emma would like that, and so would I. Over the following months, Catherine became a regular presence in their lives. She would come over for dinner once a week, bringing books for Emma and engaging her in conversations about school and friends. She attended Emma's school play, sitting next to Mark and cheering loudly when Emma delivered her one line perfectly. She taught Emma how to bake cookies using Sarah's old recipes that Mark had kept but never had the heart to try. Mark watched as his daughter formed a bond with Catherine that was uniquely their own. Catherine never tried to take Sarah's place. In fact, she often encouraged Emma to talk about her memories of her mother, helping Mark keep Sarah's presence alive in their home. Instead, Catherine created her own role in Emma's life, somewhere between a caring aunt and a maternal figure.
For Catherine, these evenings and weekends with Mark and Emma became the highlight of her week. She found herself thinking about them during long meetings, smiling at the memory of Emma's latest joke or the way Mark's face lit up when his daughter mastered a new skill. She started leaving work earlier, delegating more, making space in her life for something beyond Horizon Technologies. One evening, about a year after the picnic incident, Mark and Emma were sitting on his back porch while Emma played with the neighbor's dog in the yard. The sun was setting, casting a golden glow over everything. "She asked me something today," Mark said quietly. "She asked if it was okay that she sometimes thinks of you as her mom, even though she knows her real mom is in heaven." Catherine's breath caught. "What did you tell her?" "I told her that love isn't limited, that her heart is big enough to hold love for her mom in heaven and for you here on earth. I told her that Sarah would be happy knowing Emma has someone like you in her life." Mark turned to look at Catherine. "Was that okay?" Catherine couldn't speak past the lump in her throat. She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Mark reached over and took her hand, squeezing it gently. "You've given us so much, Catherine," he said. "You've helped me be a better father, and you've given Emma something I couldn't provide on my own. I don't know how to thank you." Catherine wiped her eyes and looked at Emma, now running in circles with the dog chasing her, her laughter carrying across the yard. "You already have," she whispered. "You both have." 2 years after that first company picnic, Horizon Technologies held another one. This time, when Mark and Emma arrived, Catherine was waiting for them at the entrance. Emma, now 9, ran ahead to hug her, chattering excitedly about the games she wanted to play. Mark followed more slowly, carrying a picnic basket. As he watched Catherine and Emma together, he reflected on how much had changed. Catherine was still his boss at work, maintaining professional boundaries in the office, but outside of work, she had become an essential part of their family. She and Mark had developed a deep friendship that was gradually evolving into something more, though both were taking it slowly, mindful of Emma's feelings. During the picnic, as families gathered for the traditional group photo, Emma stood between Mark and Catherine, holding both their hands. Just before the photographer took the picture, Emma looked up at Catherine and said clearly, "I love you, Mom." This time, there was no awkward silence, no shocked stares. Catherine knelt down and hugged Emma tightly. "I love you too, sweetheart," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "So very much." Later that evening, as they were leaving the picnic, one of Mark's colleagues approached him. "Your daughter called Catherine Mom," she said. "I didn't realize you two were—" Mark smiled. "It's a long story," he said, "but the short version is that sometimes families are created in unexpected ways." As they walked to the car, Emma between them, swinging their hands, Mark caught Catherine's eye over their daughter's head. The love he saw there, for Emma, for him, for the family they were building together, filled him with a happiness he had thought he might never feel again after Sarah's death. Life rarely follows our carefully laid plans. Sometimes it takes away the people we love most, leaving us to navigate uncharted waters alone. But sometimes, when we least expect it, it brings new people into our lives who help us heal, who show us that love can grow even from the soil of loss,
who remind us that family isn't always about blood, but about who stays by your side when you need them most. For Mark, Emma, and Catherine, their unconventional family wasn't what any of them had planned. But as they drove home together that evening, the setting sun painting the sky in shades of pink and gold, they knew it was exactly what they all needed. If this story touched your heart, please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Remember that family comes in many forms, and sometimes the most beautiful relationships grow from unexpected beginnings. Share your own stories of found family in the comments below and join our community of storytellers celebrating the many ways love manifests in our lives.